My name's Jorge. Today we're going to be talking about the life cycle of a table tortilla, which is the kernel-to-masa process. We're literally going to be taking raw corn and converting it into masa for a table tortilla. A table tortilla is the kind that puffs. It's that like magic souffle that happens that every home cook and chef is chasing. It cooks through the center that way. Very different from a recipe tortilla, which is a little bit denser. It's usually used for frying applications. It's not going to be puffing. And by the end of this series, the idea is that you're going to walk away with one, just some context and hopefully appreciation for how much work goes into making a table tortilla from scratch. You know, this is a tradition that's been in existence for hundreds and thousands of years. I think it's something that we should all stop and appreciate. The second is an understanding of the variables that go into making a tortilla from scratch possible. That's important because if you know what those variables are, you can manipulate it to exactly what you want in a finished tortilla. So though we're talking about a table tortilla today, and we're talking about a tortilla that I personally love, which is kind of a Oaxacan style tortilla, hopefully you can understand what those variables are at each step so you can manipulate them according to what you want. Things that you're gonna need for today. For starters, for ingredients, all you're gonna need is corn, water, and calcium hydroxide. The corn and the calcium hydroxide are available on Masienda.com if you want to go ahead and pick that up before you get started. For hardware today, you're going to need about a 10-inch stock pot with a colander for rinsing afterward, a mill of some kind. So in this case today, we're going to be working with molinito, which is also available on Masienda.com. This is a volcanic stone mill that you're definitely going to need to get that finesse of masa. Super, super important. You'll need a stand-up mixer of any kind. We're using a KitchenAid today. And finally a griddle, some kind of cooking place to be able to cook your tortillas with a press, which I should have said before the griddle, but you get the point. You'll do great. Before we get into cooking, which is where I think most cooks obviously want to start, let's talk a little bit about the pre-cooking process. The most important thing you take away is that you're starting with the end in mind, right? Today we're starting with a table tortilla, particularly kind of a Oaxacan influence style, that has a little bit more neutral of a pH. It's a little sort of cleaner of a flavor, less calcium hydroxide flavor. This is just my preference. This really should be informed once you have a handle of these variables by what you want to work toward. So let's make sure that you understand that these are variables you can manipulate at home or in your kitchen exactly how you want. A couple other variables to consider. Before we go any further, it's important knowing this is not sweet corn that we're working with. This is field corn. Field corn requires a little bit more work to it to get to a palatable state. We're gonna be soaking it, we're gonna be cooking it, we're gonna be grinding it. Sweet corn's the kind that you eat during the summer you can buy off a shelf and pretty much eat raw. Other things to think about in that pre-cook process, you wanna think about your starch density and the moisture of that starch. So I usually start by taking a bite of a kernel. It's pretty dense. This is a pretty dense starch. Today we're working with chalqueño blanco. Make sure you understand how dense or soft it is because that's going to inform how long you cook it for. It also is informed by how long it's been out of the field. The more time it spends out of the field, the less moisture there is in the corn kernel ultimately, which is going to also inform how long it's going to cook. This is all to say, start by understanding what the corn is that you're working with. Know that not all corn is created equal, and it's a learning process. This is something that we've been doing for several years now. The more you do it, the more you practice, the better the end result's going to be. So with that in mind, let's get started. Cool.